This extraordinary machine, despite its name, is a motor car of considerable stature. The history behind it and the traditions which remain a bona fide element in its construction today are worth recalling. In the 20s, Morris Motors was a manufacturing company which made several different standard cars. The 11.9 horsepower bullnose Cowley was popular enough to have been called the English Model T. William Richard Morris was doing very well as a manufacturer, but he also continued to maintain a system of sales and service shops throughout Oxford, which were called the Morris Garages. Incidentally, there was an original Morris Garage. The name was changed in 1913 when Morris acquired additional properties. These garages were dealerships. One of these dealerships was managed by a young man by the name of Cecil Kimber, who had already established a considerable reputation building specialty cars, some of which were even raced. Kimber designed specialty cars for the standard Morris chassis at attractive prices by using off-the-shelf components. One of these early designs was the bullnose Chummy, so called because it didn't leave anyone out in the rain. Kimber had one of his own, modified it for competition, and managed to win the Land's End trial in it. This car has since become known as Old Number 1, which Kimber himself considered the first MG. As significant as all this may be, the next major event in the MG chronology was the one which really changed the course of automotive history. Shortly after the triumph at Land's End, Morris Motors acquired a remarkable and unconventional 847cc engine that's less than 52 cubic inches. It was to power a new baby car they were planning for the new mass market. The engine was very strong, and Kimber was quick to provide a body which would do the engine justice, since it had been detuned for the standard production Morris Minor. In 10 years and at least 4 separate models, MG had sold only slightly over 2,000 cars. This little car was to sell well over 3,000 units in less than 4 years. It was the M Type MG, the Midget, the original Midget. It was small, light, low-priced, and very sporty. It excited nearly everyone who saw it, some for looks, some for money, some for performance. A son of Henry Ford bought one just for fun. The British magazine Autocar proclaimed that the Midget would make history, a statement that now seems prophetic, for it was the first in the 50-year history of a car which has consistently offered the most fun for the least money, appealing to every income bracket and finding devotees all over the world. MG moved to new quarters in Abingdon-on-Thames shortly after the introduction of the Midget, and there became such an integral part of the community that the two are almost inseparable. Together they evolved the Abingdon atmosphere, a sense of traditional purpose and dedication which is unusual in this automated age. MG is more than a name, and the Midget is the main reason. The J2 Midget of 1932 featured a 4-speed transmission with improvements in engine durability under severe stress. The 1935 P Type showed off sleeker styling and more sophisticated bodywork. The first universally known, the international Midget you might say, was of course the TC Midget, which sold 10,000 units all over the world in a little over 3 years. 2,001 TCs were shipped to the United States, and the effect of those few cars is still felt today. Response to foreign markets led to improvements apparent in the TD, independent front suspension, a wider body, a box section frame, and more room for luggage, among others. And MG sold nearly 30,000 TDs. The TF, the last of the T-Series Midgets, was destined for a short production run as Abingdon turned its efforts to developing a totally new sports car, the envelope-bodied MGA. But in 1958, another event occurred which would have a major effect on the future of MG and the Midget. As a result of a merger, Abingdon inherited a new small sports car design, Donald Healey's controversial but lovable Bug-Eye Sprite. Between 1958 and 1961, the MG Works built nearly 41,000 Austin Healey Sprites. When the decision was made to bring out a new version, it was Abingdon which helped to design the new body, giving the factory an even stronger sense of identification with the car. In May of 1961, the Sprite Mark II with a much improved engine and a special close-ratio gearbox was announced. Later, the Midget name reappeared on subsequent versions, along with Abingdon's more appropriate MG Octagon. Today, at Abingdon, they make only MGs. In this same historic plant, Midgets and MGBs are assembled, largely by hand, side by side. In fact, at Abingdon, the same pride that was taken in assembling the original Midgets still continues among the men and women who assemble today's MGs. Quality control here is a personal thing. Each man enjoys the responsibility of checking his own tasks before pushing the car on. The assembly of the Midget has several simultaneous beginnings. The 1.5-liter 1493cc engine arrives as a unit and is then fitted with a single Zenith-Stromberg carburetor and the necessary emissions control equipment. The clutch and 4-speed synchro gearbox are attached to the bell housing, and the whole unit is ready to be dropped into the car. Meanwhile, rear axles are built up and stored to create a pool ready for the arrival of the Midget bodies. Tubing circuitry for the dual-system vacuum-assisted brakes is generated on a lower level of the plant, then fitted to the body shell upstairs, as are pre-assembled rack and pinion steering mechanisms, wiring harnesses, and other component assemblies. When the body is dropped onto the rear axle, the independent front suspension is built up on the car. The wheels are mounted, radial tires included, and the car is removed from its trolley, able at last to move down the line on its own wheels. At the end of the assembly line, there is the official inspection, equally comprehensive for the Bs and the Midgets, obviously. Each car is started and tested through the gears on the rolling road. A significant number of MGs, not exact because the inspectors insist on allowing their judgment to supplement any predetermined program of testing, are selected for the traditional long and somewhat subjective road test. The shift from producing 1,500 TC Midgets in 1946 to more than 10,000 Midgets in 1977 has wrought changes, but amazingly few, and the spirit at Abingdon is still something unique in industry. Today's Midget, on the other hand, has changed a great deal. It is, of course, a link with the best that is traditional, yet in fact is a vastly more practical and versatile machine than any of its predecessors. Today's Midget can do more, longer, and more comfortably, while still providing all the fun of the traditional sports car. Its overhead valve 1.5-liter engine gets 50 horsepower at 5,000 RPM and 67 foot-pounds of torque from those 91 cubic inches. The gearbox is designed to keep the Midget moving at its best with the least effort from the engine, whether pulling off the line, dancing through irregular back roads, or cruising along a big interstate. Clutch engagement is precisely controlled through the big 7.25-inch heavy-duty diaphragm-type plate, while pedal layout allows traditional heel and toe shifting for optimal cornering control. Wishbone links with coil springs and an anti-sway bar assure that the front wheels track cleanly over the bumps, and the solid tube axle with leaf springs maintains consistent, familiar, predictable cornering, even at high speeds. Self-adjusting discs up front, 8.25 inches in diameter, and 7-inch drums in the rear offer the correct balance of forces to provide all the stopping power needed, with 2 separate circuits for full protection against brake failure. All in all, it is a true sports car package in a thoroughly modern mode. The old Perspex side curtain has yielded to the roll-up window, which is easy and fast to operate. 2 turns and it's down for the toll taker, or up to avoid a sudden wetting. A snug, durable top goes up or down with ease, especially if the correct procedure is followed. The driver's handbook makes it all quite clear. Remember to undo all the fasteners when lowering it. Be sure not to let the frame pinch the top as you lower it, and don't put it down when it's still wet. When you put the top up, just be sure that the guide pins over the windshield are in their slots before closing the toggles. Once the top is up, the high-volume fresh air heater defroster provides adequate hot air for just about anything, as well as fresh ventilation in warm but wet weather. The forward quarter windows, items which are disappearing from current cost-cutting designs, are unparalleled for well-controlled airflow and are especially appreciated during summer downpours. Racing under a waving checkered flag has returned to many Midget owners. Once again, the track is filling up with Midgets, and thanks to British Leyland Motors' full range of optional competition equipment, A lot of drivers will get their trophies without having to be either professional or the owners of fine family fortunes. For the innovative but non-competitive owner, there are other options available. Options like trim rings, wire wheels, choice of radios, trunk rack, tonneau cover, and floor mats. And there is no driving sensation quite like driving on a brisk day with the tonneau cover in place. It's also a very easy and smart-looking way to protect the passenger compartment without erecting the top. And so, in spite of providing all these modern conveniences and comforts, the Midget remains a true sports car. Exciting, quick, maneuverable, easy to park and unpark, with just 2 1/4 turns, lock to lock. It's nimble and safe in traffic, with disc brakes up front, super visibility even with the top up, and a steering suspension combination refined to enhance the skill of every driver under all conditions, while still providing the ultimate degree of driving pleasure for the minimum amount of dollar outlay. The Midget of today is the end result of 50 years of serious devotion to improvement and safety. A commitment to maintain the superb tradition of unparalleled fun in a classic sports car that is truly affordable.